I'm Rose Jacobs from the Technical University of Munich, and this week we're going to start examining problems at the sentence level. Up till now, we've looked at structuring larger units of writing, like entire texts and paragraphs, to follow conventions of academic writing, as well as make them more reader-friendly. Today, at the sentence level, we're going to consider nominalizations, and specifically how to avoid them. Nominalizations are nouns that are created from other parts of speech, like verbs or adjectives, normally by adding a suffix. To describe becomes description, witty becomes witticism, etc., etc. They might not feel to you difficult to understand, but in fact they often are, and they don't make your writing more formal and intellectual. They make it harder to read. So we'll start by comparing two versions of the same text and analyzing the differences. Then it will be your turn to practice converting nominalizations into more reader-friendly phrases. Finally, we'll consider situations where nominalizations are in fact okay to use. Let's look at these two texts on genetically modified foods. I'd like you to pause the video and read through both text 1 and 2. While doing so, think about this. Which do you find easier to read, and why? What about the sentence structure and vocabulary makes it so? Welcome back. Most of you will agree with me that text 2 is easier to read. But why? Let's analyze it in detail. Here I'd like you to pause the video again and take a minute to go through the text, this time paying particular attention to the phrases or words in blue. As you may have noticed, text 1 uses nominalizations, often preceded by an unnecessary verb, whereas text 2 has converted these nominalizations into verbs or adjectives. Let's look at this more closely. Text 1 uses nominalized phrases created from both verbs and adjectives. Here we can compare the individual phrases. For the phrase cause the creation of, the essential meaning lies in the verb to create. Using cause in the nominalized phrase doesn't really add any meaning, it just makes it a longer, more difficult to read phrase. Similarly, in the consideration of can be replaced with the verb consider. Present the argument with argue. Point of contention with contend, and deliver proof with the very simple prove. Nominalizations can also be made from adjectives. Here are some examples from the text on the previous slide. Superficiality of becomes superficial, and the safety of is replaced with safe. By replacing the nominalized phrase with the verb or the adjective, you are making your text shorter and easier to read. The reader doesn't have to go through a two-step process of converting the nominalized phrase into a verb and then understanding it. You do the extra work for him or her. Now it's your turn to practice. This slide is a list of nominalized phrases. Pause the video and turn the nominalized phrases into verbs. Here are the answers. Again, I'd like you to pause the video and turn these nominalized phrases into new words, this time adjectives. You can tally your answers with these. Some more practice at the sentence level. Here we have 4 sentences. I'd like you to pause the video, first identify the nominalized phrase in each sentence, and then rewrite it to avoid that nominalized phrase. In the first sentence, genetic modification of food is the nominalized phrase, which can be converted into genetically modified food. Sentence 2 has provide a solution for, which can be replaced with solve. In sentence 3, criticize can replace made criticisms of, and in sentence 4, ethical reasons replaces reasons of ethics. Now, having looked at situations where nominalizations are unnecessary and can be replaced by verbs or adjectives, let's take a look at some situations where you might actually want to use them. I describe 3 such scenarios here. First, you might consider a nominalization when you need a short subject that refers to the previous sentence. Here, these misgivings refers to the entire sentence. The second is the use of the word fact. Very often when you use the fact that, as in the example here, you do not actually require it. You can replace it with a noun. And finally, you might use a nominalization to avoid sentences that are much too long. In our third example here, the relative clause, what critics have claimed, can be replaced with a nominalization. Finally, I'd like to remind you of what Stephen said in his lesson on rhetorical preferences. It is the responsibility of the writer to communicate effectively. Nominalizations can often be hurdles that make your readers stumble. You don't want that. To do so, you don't have to ban them entirely from your text, you just have to use them with caution. Thank you for your attention, and see you again soon.